Hello and welcome to another episode of Film Freaks with a Z, the podcast all about movies. These episodes come out every 2 weeks, and each episode is about a singular movie, which will introduce the main movie here in a little bit. But of course, we always want to ask you this. Please give us your movie recommendations. We got a good list going, but we always want more. That's right. The most recent fan vote was a huge success, I'd say, and we need more movies. That's right. So if you want to either email us at ff.filmfreakswithaz@gmail.com or comment on the latest episode of filmfreakswithaz.com on YouTube, or join my Discord and talk to us in the movie review section, you can actually go ahead and suggest movies there, just like our friend Antiskew. But that's in the past now because the fan vote is done, right? Let's move on to what this movie is. But first, let's introduce ourselves. I am Yemmy the Ferret, aka Yemmy. Who am I here with?
Grady Waffle.
Tay Mission.
Google Gamer.
Oh, has it been a strange day for you all?
Yeah, I felt
Super
weird
strange.
all
Yeah.
day.
Oh,
Yeah.
Strange.
Very,
My
very
Google
strange.
Home just went off.
Some dark magic is going on.
I swear that the Cleveland skyline was in the sky, upside down. But how are we doing all? How is it?
Good.
Fine.
The Browns
Yeah,
yet to play still, so fun
Remember,
time.
this episode's going out 2 weeks later, so. so...
So your sports references are dated.
Yes. Well,
Yes.
remember a few episodes
Late.
ago, Coco was talking about a Washington football team win, and it was like, oh yeah, they did win that way, didn't they?
Well, the way he said it, it was like, "Oh, poor Washington," and like everyone thought Washington like exploded or something.
In 2020, it's possible.
Yeah.
Anything.
God, we've been wondering. I had mystery to these podcasts.
Well,
Yeah, begin.
speaking of Coco and strange things,
Yes, Coco.
Coco, introduce this movie for us, please.
Well, since you guys all know I'm a Marvel fan, I recommended Doctor Strange. It came out in 2016. Some synopsis is Stephen Strange's life changes after a car accident robs him from the use of his hands. When medicine fails him, he looks for healing and finds himself forced to choose between life of fortune and status, or leave it all behind to defend the world. So, start off this conversation. I had this like nitpick of the first scene, like well, not like first scene, but like the first events that's going on. Like the librarian, he just stood there and didn't like isn't these librarians supposed to like defend these books? Kind of just stood there like when they were like preparing to attack him.
I mean, what would you have done? I mean, he turns around and sees what's this guy's name, Calcius or whatever it is, and
Something like that.
all of a sudden
Yeah.
he's just surrounded by 5 or 6 evildoers. It's kind of difficult to get your bearings.
And maybe
Sure.
before this, the librarian was just kind of like, this isn't a high-level sorcerer. I mean, it's a librarian. No one wants anything. So
Yeah.
we just got a guy who just sits here. And after that, they went, okay, we need like someone really good and strong. Let's get Wong in here.
True, that could be a possibility, but still, it's like, well, I'm pretty sure we know like some knowledge about the books because he probably would have to give them to people and stuff.
Well,
Yeah,
that's what
so-
Wong does. He knows every single book by heart. So you would think that librarian might have been a little bit of help to them too, but I guess not, because maybe he just kind of knew exactly what he was looking for.
Maybe. I don't know. It just seems like a little nitpick for me because I don't know. It seemed a little strange.
Yeah.
No pun intended for that.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that first scene, though, I will say, I don't know if it's my TV settings. It was super dark. I could barely tell what was going on.
Yeah,
Actually.
this whole movie
Yeah,
was dark to me.
it's like that every.
Yeah, there was a few scenes where I'm like, this scene is too dark. I can barely tell what's going on.
Yeah.
But overall, it's like also like then there's like opposite scenes where it's just so bright and vivid and colors everywhere, and it's like, man, this is beautiful.
Yeah. Leads me to my next point. The CGI in this film was just really, really good. Even though they
In fact, this movie didn't have any CGI.
That's the first thing Tay looked up.
Yeah.
As soon as he said
Yeah,
it.
no, it turns out they got
CGI.
real sorcerer. They got real sorcerers for it. It was crazy.
Oh man.
Yeah, there's a whole multiverse with it too, but it's like you guys don't even know.
No, I'm just joking, of course. The CGI is beautiful in this movie. That is definitely the. I gotta say, because the first time I saw this movie in theaters, the only time, because this is actually my second time seeing it, surprisingly, as much as I love Marvel movies. This first time I saw this one, I was like, it was okay, it wasn't great. I actually enjoyed it a lot more this time. Besides the dark scenes that I couldn't tell what was going on, but overall, I did enjoy it a lot more, and the CGI still looks amazing. And like, I was just trying to wrap my head around how they do some of the things. Like, I mean, some of this just got them be running around on a green screen, flat ground, and then they just use camera tricks and stuff to get these weird angles, and then throw them into a CGI scene. But either way, they did a good, great job.
Yeah.
Still holds up.
I was watching some behind the scenes stuff, and it is mostly just like a green screen. They have like the wires on them, which is kind of, I don't know. I kind of would rather them have like the Inception kind of deal where they built like a set that rotated and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Although a lot of the things that happened in here weren't just rotating effects, but still, I think it would have been a little bit cooler to have like a more practical things on the set like built for it.
Dude, the planning for that stuff though would have to be crazy. Like, okay, so this scene like as you're filming it, it's like, so what's happening here? It's like, well, they flip this way, then that way, then this way, then go through like a dimensional hole. Like, just the planning to get that stuff right be crazy.
Yeah.
And $165 million for CGI, so they did definitely have money to spend.
Well, it is a Marvel movie, so of course they did.
Mm-hmm. Tay, you were saying how you like this movie more. I actually brought my score down for this movie since watching it in theaters. I thought that the spectacle in the theater was much better in terms of
that's fair.
Because you go from big screen to small screen, things. I mean, I don't know. I just didn't find as much enjoyment out of it. And the one thing that was really bugging me was like some of the writing in this movie was pretty bad. There were just scenes where they would just kind of be spouting off exposition for like 5 minutes, and you're like, kind of getting a little long-winded here, isn't it? And then also,
that's fair.
I know that comedy is of course subjective, but the second time through this, I didn't find many of the jokes that funny. Actually, I don't think I laughed through the whole movie. And I think that I think that the more serious tone for this movie that it takes throughout most of it is good. It almost has like a Last Jedi feel to it, where it's like, we have to put jokes in it because it's Marvel's funny now. Kind of like how The Last Jedi was like, well, this is too serious, and Star Wars is funny now, so we have to put jokes in it to make it less serious. That's how I felt about this movie. I don't know if you guys agree.
Yeah.
Oh no, I agree. I don't find this movie funny at all. There's like the funniest thing I think is the end when Wong laughs. Like that is, it's like, yeah, it's funny. Wong laughing.
I do agree with that. Just to me, this movie feels like they took the easy way out, and what I mean by that is like just the way, like the ending, pretty much. The way it just ended. I didn't care for the ending, and just the way just boils down, and then they're like, oh well, Doctor Strange has to live, so this is what's gonna happen. And even though like the odds of that ever happening is like slim to none, is just like just like the whole hospital scene both times, with Doctor Strange and Ancient One, and then the ending where it's just like, I don't know, it doesn't just like a time loop. It just seems kind of lazy writing. I don't know. I mean, like you said, they thought scenes like out really well, but then they're like got to the end of the movie, they're like, oh well, it's because he's magic. It's just like, I don't know, the way the beginning of the movie where him learning everything, and then all of a sudden he's like, oh, I got time on my side. I don't know. That's just my.
Oh yeah, he does use
Yeah,
the time stone.
which makes sense because they talk about several times that Dormammu does not have time in his dimension. He doesn't understand time, and to suddenly just be thrown into a time loop, it really would just screw with him, and he would want out. I felt like that was fine. I mean, the speed Stephen Strange learns, that always bugged me. I mean, it still bugs me. Like I feel like they should at the beginning of this movie should have been taking place like before, like in the timeline before Iron Man, and then he spent years learning, not just like I picked up what you guys learned in years in a month.
Yeah,
but
they
for
kind of
him to like, good.
they kind of explain that away though, because they're like, oh well, he got his PhD faster than everyone else. Blah 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 blah. It's like, yeah, but he had to learn like a whole new language. He has to read all these books. He has to learn the techniques. Yeah, I do agree, Tay. I think that if they could go back and do these movies again, I think that they would have Doctor Strange's learning be throughout a few movies, like in between, like a 1 and 2 type of scenario.
Yeah.
But yeah, that did bug me too, and I felt like that's where I kind of felt like the pacing was a little bit too fast at some points, because it was like, well, he gets off of the Mount Everest, and then all of a sudden he's already got all these skills in the next scene. It's like, well, between then and there was definitely more learning that needed to happen before he could, astral project or whatever.
I just want to know
he did
why.
struggle a little bit. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nick.
I just want to know why none of the good guys know how to fight. Like they know no hands-on-hands combat whatsoever. I'm like, come on, guys. Like I know you they're big into magic, but come on, they act like they've never seen a fist before. I'm like, come on, guys, punch them.
Oh yeah, a good example is like the guy who was defending the New York Sanctum. He gets taken down in like 2 hits.
Yeah. I'm like, seriously? Like, come on.
And he's supposed to be like this big bad dude,
Yeah, he's supposed to be a master, and then he gets taken down in like 10 seconds, and Strange, who is an amateur, like he's still learning, beats most of them.
Yeah.
And
that's lucky with the Cloak of Levitation that just I know it was his alpha in the comics, so they had to introduce it to him. But still, it's like his Cloak of Levitation basically did all the work for him.
True.
Yeah, I mean, the Cloak of Levitation is a big part of his character, so not introducing it would probably have been worse. I don't really have a complaint about the cloak coming in. Especially because
I'm just saying.
Especially because they explained that these items choose their the person, so it kind of makes sense.
Oh yeah, that the ancient one, that whole scene right there, that was a good setup for that. Like why it chose him and like vice versa and all that. So yeah, that was a good scene.
Yeah. But
there's also some scenes like I wanted to see, like how did Hercules escape the? I mean, I'm assuming magic, but it's like they could have had like a little cutscene, like just him escaping or like.
Oh, you mean he's escaping that like binding
that trap? Yeah, that binding
trap.
And then, does that other sorcerer ever come back? The evil one that got sent in the desert? Like, I think we saw her there when
she got trapped in the aquarium when time started rewinding.
Yeah, so basically, like, she came back and just got trapped again.
So, like, scenes like that, I would have liked to see, or like a scene where at the end where they're in that time loop, like the guy, like, just get frustrated by it, like, fine, what do you want, kind of thing, but. That's I'm just saying things like they could have picked up on, but they didn't. I don't know what you guys think.
I mean, Dormammu kind of did that. Like, fine, we want. He was hard to understand, so that might be why you missed it.
Yeah, I can understand him pretty much, but like, it did take like some time before it was like, what did he say? It was like, okay, that's how they're going to play his voice.
I feel like Benedict Cumberbatch also played Dormammu.
Yeah, I think that was it too, because you could hear like a definitely similarity with the voice. Also, like, not meant to like go to the ending, but I thought Dormammu needed like such a little bigger part than just like I'm just here watching them do it. I'm spreading slowly.
Yeah, he was kind of of course, in the background through the entire movie, which is sometimes what Marvel will do for these more powerful characters. They'll just kind of be sitting in the background, and someone else will be doing the dirty work for them, and then at the end of the movie, it's
sometimes for 30 movies.
Well, yeah, with Thanos.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't know. I would have liked to see. Well, I guess it's kind of clever how Doctor Strange beats Dormammu in this movie. But we definitely needed like more of him because I don't know. I feel like he isn't done. Like his character isn't done. But
Probably
at
not.
the end of the movie, they kind of make it seem like, well, he's not coming back, and they start wiping their hands off. It's
Yeah.
Like he knows they just try to do the same tactic probably next time if he ever comes back. But still, it's like this. Probably Dormammu's gonna find a way. If he's this all-powerful being that we didn't really get to see much of his power, except for him like shooting stuff at Strange, you could probably find a way around it.
I mean, it wasn't just like shooting things. I mean, he was like all powerful, like hacks on kind of character. But Coco, you forget that the Infinity Stones were destroyed at the end of
Endgame.
Endgame, yeah, that one. So how would they defeat Dormammu in the future?
Then maybe that's what Doctor Strange 2 will kind of talk about. I mean, technically, as long as the Sanctum Sanctorum stand, he can't get in anyways, but...
Well, I mean, 2 out of 3 were destroyed already once, so why not again?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's where being up to date with Marvel, seeing Endgame, all the past movies that kind of sums up like what's happened. Going back to this, movie, especially the end credits where he's with Thor, you're kind of like, oh, this all makes sense now. So that was kind of cool to say or see, not say, but that was kind of cool to be like, oh yeah, I know this, I know what it means now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see the end credit scene? The second end credit scene?
Yeah, with Baron. Yeah.
Or what's his face? Like, I feel like, is he going to be the villain of 2, or is he wherever? Or is it going to be like? Yeah, I was like, or is it going to be like a Hulk thing where like we see the guy get doused with Hulk blood and then we never see him again?
Well, in the comic books, he is a villain character, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I believe he is too.
I would want to see him come back as a villain, kind of like the good guy turned bad type thing, or maybe even like a vigilante or something like that, kind of like the same vein as like Hawkeye in Endgame, where he kind of like went sort of anti-hero.
Ronin.
Yeah,
but
Ronin.
So was that Doctor Strange that was like doing the cutting, or because
no, that was the guy who he refused to treat with his back. And Strange went to see him when he was playing basketball.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he was the one who sent Strange to the Kathmandu or whatever.
Well, I think one of the main things to point out is this movie took a lot of inspiration from Inception, with like the buildings and stuff like that. Do you think that it did a better job with those things, or? I mean, I know we have. I mean, I haven't watched Inception in a long time either, but I do remember Inception kind of having cooler kind of visual effects in terms of like the city stuff going on, and you could definitely see like when the buildings started to like come over top and stuff like that. Like you could definitely see the inspiration from Inception, but I don't know. I kind of like how Inception did like kind of like the quote unquote mirror dimension stuff, but a little bit better.
I agree. I think Inceptions were. I feel like they were cleaner. Well, this one was just kind of too randomized.
Well,
I also like the more basic nature of it, because like having everything moving on the screen at the same time, like it looks cool. Don't get me wrong, and it looks really well done in this movie. It's like I don't know if it's really needed to have this much going on. Like
exactly.
Yeah, especially the scene where before the Ancient One fought them, like where the one dude and Doctor Strange were running. Like in the streets, and they're like, oh, you can't do this in the mirror world or whatever. Yeah, that was definitely too much, where they had like the city and like the rafters coming in and coming out. Yeah, that was a little too much.
Also, the one thing I want to point out, there was so many opportunities where they could have went through that portal.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he casted so far away from him. Just like because he did like instantaneously when he was at the hospital. It took him like a few seconds, but still there was like enough time where he could open that portal, went through and closed it.
I think it's because they were running, so he was trying to make sure they would actually would appear in front of them. But
So,
because if they stopped, they would have been grabbed by the bad guys.
Yeah.
So. Oh, I had something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, so the one scene go back to like the city moving and stuff. The one scene that really actually stood out the most to me is like where you just see like it's a city corner, like an intersection, and then the camera kind of pans, and you realize that like the intersection is like disconnected from everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cars
That's
kind
I thought
of
was
come up
pretty
from the
cool.
ground.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
that was
yeah.
a cool one.
Yeah,
Definitely.
and the car goes down into the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, that scene I thought was pretty cool, and like
So that's
just,
all
just the right
green
amount
screen,
of.
right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
and that was all
it's
just
all-
CGI.
mhm.
Yeah, so none of that was real.
Well, I don't mean green screen's not real, but
Well,
So-
green screen usually means you have a live element and then you are putting in fake stuff behind it. But this was just all CGI. I mean, it was all done by sorcerers. No CGI.
yeah, magic.
So I know we've talked about the destroyer of worlds or whatever his face is. But how did you guys feel that they like with Callius or whatever his fucking name is? We'll just call him Mads Mikkelsen. I felt like he got the raw end of the stick in this movie because I felt like he was a really strong villain, but he was not in the movie enough. I feel like they expect you to be like, oh, he chopped off that dude's head. Okay, that's enough for me to know he's evil. Like, yeah. I mean, he's evil, but it's like I want to know more about this character, and you kind of just get snippets of information about him, and I really wanted to see more of him. And I know they didn't like kill him off in the end, but they kind of did him dirty, kind of like how there's so many Marvel and actually even superhero
it's a
movies
Marvel
in general.
movie. Of course, they did their
Yeah,
villains
I was-
bad.
Yeah,
I was literally about to expand off for that because Marvel does. I think it was a Thor movie where the guy was like badass, and I was just like, and they kill him off like it was nothing. I'm like, oh come on, guys! Like you could at least made this villain at least 2 movies long. They like I don't know. I mean,
well, it's the same problem
no-
that like the old like '80s Batman movies had, where it's like, okay, they killed the Joker, okay, they killed the Penguin, they killed Catwoman, they killed like who do you have left?
Yeah.
At the end of it all. And I think Marvel's kind of doing that same thing, where it's like, okay, well, you killed this guy, and you've killed this guy, you've taken this guy out of it. I think they need more stories like where they have villains who are across the entire like a few movies, not just Thanos, but like you have a few of them. But
I'm
that's
trying to
not
think
how
of
Marvel does it.
what villain I'm thinking of. I think it was Guardians of the Galaxy 1. And
Ronan?
I think we talked about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ronan.
And
Yeah,
he just
Ronan
dies
was screen
instantly
time.
at the end. I'm like, what the heck?
They did bring him back in the time warp endgame thing, right? Or no,
No, he was in
Captain Marvel.
but
Captain
that was
Marvel.
like
That
20
was
years
younger
before
Ronan.
Guardians.
Yeah.
So
and he didn't have a
So
big
it-
role in that one either. So, but yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that conversation because I actually really I thought his characters were really cool, and then they just kill him off at the end of that one.
I mean, if you think Marvel's best villains that they've kept around were Loki, Thanos.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been any others that they've kept around.
And even with like Loki, he's been in Avengers,
Well, he was in Thor, Avengers,
Thor,
Thor 2, Thor
Thor
3.
and he's dead.
then-
He dies in Infinity War, supposedly.
Well, he
No,
dies in
Thor-
Infinity War, but then also created a new timeline where he's alive in Infinity War. Now he gets his own spin-off show.
That actually looks pretty good.
It does
But
look
that's a
actually pretty
conversation for another time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, Loki is a good villain. I'll give him that. I'm
Yeah,
He's
sure.
like an
like I said-
anti-hero basically because he's
Nah,
like,
I wouldn't say anti-hero on him, but
Yeah, no, Punisher's more of an anti-hero.
yeah.
true.
I'm sure we'll talk about Loki in the future when Coco recommends Avengers.
Yeah.
Yep.
It'll happen. Just give it time.
What do you think of the character growth of Doctor Strange himself? And also, I had one statement to make where, when he first meets the Ancient Ones or the Ancient One, she's like, Mr. Strange. And he's like, well, no, she's like Doctor Strange. And he's like, I'm not a
Master.
doctor anymore. And she's like, and I'm like, no.
Master Strange. Yeah.
Well, no. She called him doctor, and he's like, I'm not a doctor anymore. It's like, well, technically, you still are a doctor. You still have all the degrees and stuff.
Wait, no, Doctor Strange said doctor, and she said, well, not anymore.
Oh yeah. You're right, Coco. You're absolutely right. Yeah, I was
We're
like,
talking about the same scene where she like ends up calling him master, and he's like, "Oh,
no,
screw you."
that's exactly
No, that was
that was
way
the
along.
first
That's
part.
just the first
The
interaction.
first time that they meet, she calls him Doc or Mister. Yeah.
It's his
He's
first
like
scene.
doctor. And, yeah.
I'm just saying the main point is he's still a doctor even if he's not practicing, right? Like I'm not crazy about this.
But the thing is, like, you can be a doctor without being like a medical doctor.
Yeah.
Well, once
Like,
you get your PhD, then you're
Yeah,
a
it's-
doctor.
Exactly. Doesn't matter if I'm not practicing medicine. Big whoop. I'm still a fucking doctor.
I mean, when people retire, with their PhD, you're still
Yes.
a doctor the rest of
Yeah.
your life.
Mm-hmm. And that leads
Exactly.
me back to the original point. The original thing I wanted to ask you guys is, how do you think they handled Doctor Strange as a character? Because his character growth, in my eyes, was really quick.
Yes.
I was about to say that too quick. Yep.
Yeah, not only did he like break down I don't know. I want to hear what you guys have to say first.
I don't know.
Well-
Like for me, Doctor Strange, like Steven, even especially in this movie, still think he's a complete arrogant jackass. I don't think he really had any character growth. I think they tried to make him like, look, he's like one of us because he knows music. And it's like, no.
Yeah.
And I think they did better. Like I think he's a better character in Thor and Avengers than he is in this movie.
I think that scene was actually more just like tell you how laid back I don't think it was like how he's like us, but we're more on the arrogant side of him before.
Not necessarily us, but it was supposed to be like, look, he's likable because he knows music.
Yeah.
Or like Iron, like because I remember making this comparison when we first saw this in theaters. It was like him and Iron Man, Tony Stark have a very similar like.
Yeah. They both act like it's in similar ways.
But Tony Stark is a lovable asshole, while
Mhm.
Stephen Strange is just an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think the best example of what I'm about to say is when he gets the cloak cape, and he goes from learning about everything to defeating the strongest villain and his two Padawans with like easily. Well, I won't say easily, but he gets that cloaking device or the cape, and he knows how to work it right away. Yeah, I mean, yeah, they had a few gags where he wanted to go for the axe and the shield, and the cape is like, no, go for the binding device.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, I don't know. I would have liked, and that's why I said earlier, is like a few extra scenes where Doctor Strange is like warming up to it or like learning how to use it. But
you
He
forget
just
that
kind of like
he's
immediately
fighting
knew
the
how to
one
use
dude
it.
in the hallway after he got stabbed, and the cloaking device is choking the guy out. And I'm
Well,
just like,
let's get this
okay,
straight.
well,
It's not a cloaking device. It's a cloak.
Yeah, it's not.
it's cloak, whatever.
But you also have to remember that the cloak has a mind of its own. It chose Strange, but it's trying to help Strange at the same time. So
Yeah.
it's not that he's trying to learn how to use it. It's they're trying to learn how to work together in this.
Yeah.
It's a small scene.
I think
but...
that a scene that like shows it really well is like when he's the end where he's crying and the cape tries to wipe his tears and you're like, leave me alone, cape. And it's like, okay, that shows that they're two separate people and the cape has more personality than Stephen Strange.
Yeah, I like the cape.
Yeah,
I guess
exactly.
Now that you guys put that in that's perspective, I agree with that.
It would be nice to have, like, I remember the one scene from Infinity Wars. I just like the quick cape. It's like the cape was just standing there, and he like Spider-Man was trying to talk to him and just flew away.
Yeah,
Did the cape disappear with Doctor Strange in Endgame?
I think it did.
Infinity War?
When he like you could see him like in the Infinity War when at the beginning of the scene he wasn't wearing it, but the cape came to him and immediately changed his clothes, which is a cool detail.
Yeah, I do like how they presented Doctor Strange in the other Marvel movies.
Yeah,
And
he had more growth in those movies than.
Well, I mean, he actually kind of seemed like the character that they wanted him to be at the end of or during this movie.
Yeah. They didn't quite figure him out in this movie. They figured him out a little more in other movies.
Right.
It's kind of like what they do.
Yeah, I like it when he's more calculated and serious and just kind of being Doctor Strange that from like the comic books. I mean, it's like we don't need another funny haha
We don't need a
character.
Tony Stark.
We don't need
We've
Tony
got it-
Stark
well, we
or
don't need to
Hulk
have
or
Tony
whatever.
Stark
We
anymore,
have all those
but-
characters. We want something a little bit different. Well, at least I want something a little bit different. And Doctor Strange in those movies is that like different character that I enjoyed more in those ones.
Yeah. But as I was saying, I was like, we already have we don't have a Tony Stark anymore, but we don't need another Tony Stark.
Yes.
We got Spider-Man for that.
Well, once everything kind of gets going again, maybe we'll find some new characters to harp on.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange 2 has been announced, right? But it keeps
Yeah,
getting pushed
yeah.
back.
I mean,
yeah,
at the
that
end of
was
the
announced.
movie, it says he will be back.
Well, yeah, but I did.
That was meant for.
I mean,
I
he was
was
back
looking
in
for, like, a
4,
date,
3.
yeah.
He was back in like he's been back a few times in other stuff, but
Well, I meant
they
his
announced
actual standalone movie.
I think they announced Doctor Strange 2 before the quarantine.
Yeah.
Yes. Then got delayed because of the
Boy,
quarantine.
everything got delayed, and
Yeah.
Yeah, they still
But
haven't.
Spider-Man 3
released
has
Black
to come
Widow.
out first, right?
Yeah. I
Black
think
Widow.
So yeah.
and he's actually going to be in Spider-Man 3, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think that's why they're waiting for Spider-Man 3. Then they're going to release Doctor Strange.
That's also
Well, I don't
probably
think
why
the
they're
film-
hiring all the other alternative Spider-Mans onto the
Yeah.
movie because they're going to go to dimensions,
Yeah.
and you need
Which is
Doctor
weird, 'cause
Strange for
that's-
that.
I said Doctor Strange 2 is supposed to go over into the multiverse. I think it's called Doctor Strange 2 in the multiverse or something, and it's also but also
Multiverse
Wanda's going to be in
Madness.
it. Yeah, Wanda's going to be in it, so they got to do the WandaVision TV show first, which is mainly going to set it up too. So there's, I don't know. I think Phase 4 will be interesting, especially now that everything's been delayed, and then we're all going to just like get it in 1 year.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the
Like, this was
movie's
supposed to be it. Sorry, go
Doctor
ahead.
Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Yes, that's what it's called. That's
Yeah.
right.
So something tells me if Spider-Man 3 comes out first, or yes, Spider-Man 3, yeah. If that
Yeah.
comes out first,
I have
then
the
that's going to be
timeline,
him like going, "Oh, wow, look at all this shit." And then in his actual movie he's going to be trying to figure out. It's going to be interesting to see what they do because like I think this whole break from Marvel movies was actually good for everyone because I think a lot of people
Yeah.
are getting tired of them, especially after the last Spider-Man movie was like the epilogue to the entire first wave, and I was also feeling some burnout on the Marvel stuff. So
Well, yeah, I agree with that because, like most people, and probably including me, didn't get caught on until the Avenger era. It's when the Avenger movie came out, and then people are like, "Oh, I got to go back." So I think people are still trying to play catch up, so to speak.
Maybe.
So yeah, this
I
break,
wasn't.
this
Got time.
well, I know not you guys, but like some
Yeah.
people, most of the
Yeah. Okay.
That's
people
fair, yeah.
nowadays,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, I think
So-
most
Yeah,
people now are caught up, and
Mm-hmm.
I
I,
think
So
I
the
know a lot of people towards the end there actually started just watching the Avenger movies. They didn't even care about the middle ones until afterwards. They're like, oh, I guess I should have watched this one.
Yeah.
It's like,
well,
you should've.
that's also like the Achilles heel of Marvel stuff, and even like other cinematic universes where it's like, well, if you want to know what's going on in this movie, you have to watch the entire 15-hour TV show that came out on Netflix. It's like, all right, well, I'm not really interested in the Defenders, but if I have to watch it, I guess I will. I don't.
That was the one nice thing about the Netflix ones though, is they reference the movies, but you didn't have to actually watch them to get the movies.
Well, leading up to Avengers 2, didn't you have to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
No, you did not. It explained how the ship showed up, I think, at the end, but other than that, you didn't need to.
Because I
Okay.
was hearing from someone that you had to because they kind of start that when boom, they're in the middle of going to that castle. I thought there was a build up in the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show.
No, I mean, like I said, there really wasn't. It was just they went, oh, we should go here, get the Avengers, and that's
Oh.
it. That was a line.
Okay, so I'm glad I didn't watch that then.
So I have so it was originally said Doctor Strange 2 for May 7th, 2021, but got pushed back to March 25th, 2022 after Spider-Man 3 was shifted to November 2021. So yes, it's coming after Spider-Man 3.
Okay.
We'll see what they decide to do. I mean, they're releasing that Soul movie on Disney Plus. That abysmal Mulan remake was put on Disney Plus as well. So I'm wondering if they're gonna have one of these Marvel movies go on to Disney Plus too.
I doubt it. I don't know, because they could have easily done that with Black Widow, and they decided not to. So I don't know.
Yeah,
they might get to the point they get desperate enough.
$30 a pop, let's say you're just a single person watching this movie. $30, $30 a pop. It is definitely worth it for Disney and financially to release it on their streaming service.
Like a single,
it's not worth it for us because I don't I go to a movie theater and I pay $10 for a ticket.
Yeah.
I just hope Marvel doesn't get ahead of themselves, like with all these TV shows coming out, like the Wanda one and all the other ones, like where okay, I have to go watch this now to see Captain Marvel or see Blade, these upcoming movies. So I hope they're like, oh well, you have to go reference this TV series to understand this reference.
I think they are going to be referenced a little bit. I think their plan here was because some of the people complain, it's like there's not enough character growth in these movies, or these villains don't have enough time. It's like, well, if we make it a TV show, they will.
Yeah.
That's
the thing. That's why I liked the first season of Daredevil so much, is because you got
so good.
You had Daredevil growing his character, and you had Kingpin, and it was really great. And even in the season 2, I really enjoyed that show.
Yeah, I never saw season 3 though.
Yeah, I didn't either.
It just got to the point where the problem with those movies, though, is they were a little too dark, and I think just sometimes in the movies, I don't need dark in my life right now.
Well, yeah, at that time they had 5 different Netflix shows. All of them had the same tone. It was it
just lost its lust, just like Punisher. It just loses it, touch. It's just like, okay, this could have ended, 5 seasons ago. I know it wasn't 5 seasons long, but you get my example.
I never made I only made it halfway through Punisher, season 1. It was good. I really liked it, but I was just like, man, this is it's so heavy. It weighs on my soul, and I can't just binge it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I guess being too heavy and at least interesting is better than being uninteresting and boring.
True.
Kind of like how the Defenders were.
Yeah.
The Defenders wasn't horrible, but it would have been so much better if they had just gotten rid of Iron Fist.
Yeah, well, you can't just get rid of a character. Well, I guess they could just kill him off.
Well, the thing, I think, they announced, there was a rumor, it's they're bringing back all the Defenders except for Iron Fist. They're going to recast him. Because he just wasn't a good actor either.
You see, now that Marvel is so big, though, you can't just recast someone. Going from, in the old days when it was how there was the 4 Batman movies that came out, and it was Michael Keaton as Batman for 2 movies, and it was Val Kilmer for a movie, and then it was George Clooney for a movie. You could do it back then because they weren't canonically connected. Well, I guess Batman and Batman Returns were, but the other ones,
all the Batmans were.
Well, I'd rather have that.
There was, I was alive during that time. There was still backlash. Directors. People were like, "Why are you recasting?"
Yeah.
I'd rather have that than 4 different directors, in the span of 3 movies, aka Star Wars.
Well, yeah, that was never going to be a good idea from the get-go.
Yeah.
Marvel, I don't know.
Yeah.
Although,
what's the point anymore?
You say that, but the first 3 Star Wars, the original Star Wars, each movie had a different director.
But they were all created.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And written and done by George Lucas.
Nope. They were written by somebody else for the last 2.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, that'll be a talk for when we reference a Star Wars movie.
Yeah. It's there's a reason Empire Strikes Back is the best movie. It wasn't
written. Doctor Strange.
Back to Strange, sorry.
It's strange, but I don't think I have anything else to say about the movie.
I don't think I do.
I think we've all kind of said our piece about it.
The fact that we're changing so many topics here, I think we're done with Strange.
A series Marvel, you got to talk about that.
Yeah,
it's true.
You just can't.
Yeah, but there really wasn't much to say about this movie anyways, besides from, hey, the CG looks good, and hey, I really like it.
And Strange is an asshole.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we say we love you, Stanley?
We do. We do love Stan.
Did you guys have you guys played Miles Morales yet?
Not
Yeah.
yet. I still have to finish the first one.
Oh, well, there's
Yeah.
a secret that for Stan Lee in there. Well, that was really
Aw.
nice.
That's what's gonna make me, like all the references that they'll have, even with the current movies coming out. They'll have something about them, and it'll
Yeah.
be cool.
I'm sure they'll
That is
continue the
gonna be weird.
legacy of it, but I think it's gonna be more like like statues or like a bust or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that is gonna be weird. Because they pre-recorded all these. Was Spider-Man the first one without a Stan Lee reference? Spider-Man 2?
I thought that was the one where there was like they recorded it before his death.
Okay.
Well, there was a
remember.
couple. I think
Yeah, they
Avengers
recorded a
was
bunch,
one,
but-
and then Spider-Man was another.
No,
But
Captain Marvel was the one.
Captain Marvel,
Yeah, it was
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That was like the
Where
last
he's
one they
driving.
filmed.
Yeah, he's driving the Cadillac,
Yeah,
whatever,
or
something.
whatever it's called.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was
That was a fun journey.
Let's get
Yeah.
into our final thoughts and rating out of 5. Coco, of course, will be first.
So looking back on this movie, the first time I saw it, I was a little on it because I don't know, it felt a little bit rushed, but that was like before Disney really started rushing these Marvel movies. And looking back on it, I liked it more, because I've seen all the other movies and I know these characters a lot more. So it's interesting to see like the first movie just introduce them. But overall, I say I'll give it a 4 out of 5.
All right, I'll go next. Movie was fun. I enjoyed it. No, I nitpicked it, obviously. Some scenes went too fast. Doctor Strange's character development, him learning, how to fight, how to use the cape, and him defeating the guy, and him, the time warp, is the key to defeat everyone. I think that happened a little too fast. It's a 2-hour movie. I will say I would like to see a couple more scenes with the boss at the end, and I can't think of his name right now. With him at the end, and then a couple more scenes with Mads Mikkelsen, and I mean, now that going back to it, it makes more sense to me. Seeing the later movies, the Avengers, and seeing all tied together, it was really cool. And so that deep down, and I'm like, okay, I know I understand it a little more. So I'm gonna go ahead and give this movie a 4 out of 5 as well.
Okay. As I stated earlier, didn't like this one as much as when I was in the theater. I think that the whole spectacle of the thing is a little bit shrunk down when it's not in like a huge theater with the giant screen and the surround sound, and I guess it's just I guess it's better than me watching it on my fucking phone. but all in all, I felt like there were some things that other movies did better that this movie was trying to copy, like the Inception stuff. I thought that the writing in the movie was not as good as I remembered. The jokes definitely were not that great and were unneeded. And in the end, I didn't feel satisfaction with the story arc and the villain and stuff like that. But it's still an enjoyable movie for the most part. It's got a lot of fun, good moments in it, and I think Doctor Strange as a character, even though this one didn't represent him as well as I remember, it does set him up well for the next the future movies, I should say. So I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5.
Ooh.
All right. Yeah, I agree with pretty much everything you guys have said. Like I said, when I first saw it, I wasn't a huge fan of it, and I still think Doctor Strange as a character is kind of, in this movie at least, is flawed. Like they did him better later. But overall, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5.
Okay.
Dokily. So, as you all may know or may not know, the fan vote was attached to the last episode of the podcast. It was between
Wait, we
4
do a fan
movies.
vote?
Yes, we do a fan vote. That's right.
Oh, wow.
So,
Sorry.
the movie that won the fan vote is called Falling Down from 1993. It was directed by Joel Schumacher, the killer of the Batman and Robin movies. I still have
Feelings.
I still have feelings about that. Anyways, this movie was suggested by Callus, who will be on with us in the next episode to talk about it with us. So hype for that. What's this movie about, though? This is one that I've never heard about, and I'm sure most of you probably haven't heard about either.
Never heard of it.
The name sounds vaguely familiar, but it might have just been a dream or something.
So the synopsis is: on the day of his daughter's birthday, William Defense Foster is trying to get to the home of his extreme. Oh my gosh, I can't read right now. I'm sorry. William Defense Foster is trying to get to the home of his extreme. Can someone else read this, please?
I have a different.
Well, I'm on Letterboxd.
I don't know if this is right. I mean, Falling Down from 1993, right?
Yeah.
So mine says, a middle-aged man dealing with both unemployment and divorce, William Foster, Michael Douglas, is having a bad day. When his car breaks down on a Los Angeles highway, he leaves his vehicle and begins a trek across the city to attend his daughter's birthday party. As he makes his way through the urban landscape, William's frustration and bitterness becomes more evident, resulting in violent encounters and with various people, including a vengeful gang and a deathful veteran cop, Robert Duvall. So, is that the right movie? I mean,
That sounds like the right movie.
Sounds like the right one. Yeah, this one goes into a little bit more detail, but I could not say those words in that order.
I was nervous. I was like, well, I think I have it, but yours started off a lot different.
Yeah, I always read stuff from Letterboxd.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna be watching that movie.
Amazon Prime.
Yep, yeah. Amazon, iTunes, Vudu, Google, YouTube, all those places. If you don't want to be spoiled, or if you want to join the conversation for Falling Down from 1993, just watch the movie before the next episode, which will be in 2 weeks. I think the last thing to say is I hope everyone out there has a nice holiday, because we're not going to be back until then. Actually, this episode is probably going to come out after Christmas, so I hope everyone had a nice holiday.
Yeah. Hope everyone's healthy. Hope
everyone's good. Yemmy, you didn't mention that our year anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yes, it was our year anniversary in November, almost a month ago now. Actually, it will be more than a month ago. We completely forgot about it, but next year we'll do something special. Maybe we'll do something so special that it'll be really special.
Oh.
I'm excited for it.
I hope it's nothing strange.
You know, this is what we'll do. We'll watch all the Pixar shorts on Disney Plus and review every single one of them in one episode.
That's it. Actually sounds fun. It'll be a while, but it'll be fun.
Well, I think going through all the ones that were before Disney movies, I think that's kind of like the length of an actual film, 2 hours.
Sure.
We'll go through all the Marvel movies.
Oh, God.
And Lord of the Rings Extended.
And Lord of the
following year. That's where we're done.
Well, anyway, I'm sure by the time next year we'll forget anyways, so it won't even
probably.
matter. Be like, oh shit, we missed our 2 year.
Oh, there was 3 year.
All right, well, yep. Next, by the time that 10 years comes by, we'll be like, fuck, we missed it again.
Next year, guys.
Okie dokie. Well, I think that's all I gotta say. Do you guys have anything else you want to mention before we head off?
Happy holidays, everyone. Or I hope you had a happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.
Yes. Hope they were delightful.
Enjoy 2021.
Yes, there you go.
All right, well, I am Yemmy the Ferret, and I've been here with...
Radio Waffle.
Animation.
Well, Gamer.
And we are Film Freaks with a Z. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
See ya.
Bye.
See ya.